Hi everybody, today I'm going to show you how to create a 2D shape design. Now there are a variety of different things that you can create using 2D shapes, but for this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a bulldog, which is Brookfield's mascot. I would encourage you to follow along as I create this bulldog so you can see some of the skills and techniques that I use. And then I encourage you to create your own 2D shape using inspiration from your own imagination or from the internet to come up with kind of a shape that you'd like to create, and using the 2D shapes that are available in Photopea. So you can see that I have a Photopea window open here, and for this project I'm going to click on the new project button rather than uploading a file because we're going to start with a blank canvas. So first thing we need to do is name our project. So I'm going to call this 2D shape design. That's the name of the assignment that we're working on. Now I'm going to change, instead of my dimensions being pixels, I'm going to change this to inches, and I'm going to create a width that is 4 and a height that is 6. Okay, because I want to create a design that is tall rather than horizontal. And I'm going to change the background color to be transparent. So that will mean that my logo design is focused on the shapes that I am using, that outline, rather than sort of creating a white background behind my bulldog. So I'm going to click create now. And this is my blank canvas that I have to work with to create my bulldog. And so the first thing that I'm going to do, I'm just going to, there we go, zoom in so I can see my canvas. So to help sort of zoom in and out, you might want to click view zoom in. Okay. I'm going to create the dog's head and the dog's body first, but I don't want to use the standard rectangle or square tool that is here, because I don't want the sharp corners. I want to create more of a rounded corner design. So I can find a rounded corner rectangle in the custom shapes at the bottom here. So I'm going to right click on my rectangle. You can see that there are a variety of shapes listed here, but I'm going to click on the custom shapes, and I'm going to find my square, or my square with rounded corners, by clicking on the down arrow here. Now you can see it takes a minute, right? It took a minute for the shapes to load, but now I have all of these different shapes available for me to use. So I'm going to select this one, the square with the rounded corners. I'm going to select the fill color, which is going to be gray, and I'm going to draw my square. Now I'm going to hold shift so that I can maintain the same dimensions as I draw. So I'm going to start in the corner and draw my head shape. Now I'm going to click on the move tool and reposition it so it's in the middle. And I know that it's in the middle of my canvas when I see that red line. So see, now it's not centered, so the red line is gone. But when it's centered, that red line is visible, which is what I want. And I want my head to be a little bit bigger than my body, but I want the body to be similar, the same color, same shape, that kind of thing. So I'm going to duplicate the layer and move it down. But I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to again hold shift so that I maintain the same square shape, but I'm going to adjust it so that it's a little bit smaller and a little bit overlapping. But again, if it's with that red line, I know that it's in the middle, which is what I want. So I can move it up a little bit. Now I'm going to call this one the head. So I'm going to rename my layer over here in the layers tab. Okay, and I'm going to call this one the body. Okay. Now I'm going to add the snout now. So I'm going to create a circle shape. So I'm going to click on this shape option, and I'm going to draw on top of my two shapes here. Oops, but I'm going to change the fill color so that it's a darker gray. So I'm going to click here on the color and I'm going to lower the shape, the circle, so that it's, there we go, creating a darker gray. And you can see that what I've done here is I've positioned my oval so that it is on top of my head, but below my body, which is what I want, so that the snout is like this. It's like a half oval kind of thing. Now I might want to bring this down a little bit. And I'll play around with this some more in a little bit, but I just wanted to show you the positioning while we don't have so many layers here. So we'll leave that for now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the ears, and I'm going to create the ears using that rounded square shape. So I'm going to click back here and click back to my custom shapes, and you can see it's selected. So now I'm going to create my ear, and I'm going to use that darker gray that I already used. Now it's not available here right now. So in order to find it again, I'm going to click back to my snout and the custom shapes, and you can see now it's visible. So if I want to remember what color this is, I can select it here, click Control-C, so I'm copying this hex code, and I'm going to go back to my ear, and now it is visible. That tends to happen, but if it wasn't, I could click on my color, and I could paste the hex code here, and click OK, and then now I know that my snout and my ears are the same color. So I can reposition the ear. I want the corner to be lined up so that it is that, but I want this to stick out more. And I'm going to position this behind the head. And continue to adjust the placement of it. I can bring this out a little bit if I want to. So I'm happy with its position. Okay. So I think I am. I might adjust it again in a little bit, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to name this layer left ear. I'm going to make a copy of it. Oops. And move the copy onto this side. And I need my transform controls back. I'm going to rotate it so that it is about the same as the other ear. Okay, that's not bad. But I'm going to name this right here. Okay, so I think I'm happy with the ears for now. Again, I can come back to it if I want to later. So I'm going to create the legs now using the same shape. But I want to return back to the original gray color. Oops, and I changed the wrong one. So I'm going to click Edit, Undo, or step backward. There we go, to fix that. So now I'm going to create the leg shape. Okay, so now we're going to create the nose of our dog. and I'm going to use the shift to make sure that the circle stays even, but I only want half a circle. Now, Photopea doesn't make it easy for us to cut shapes. It wants us to use the original shape design, but I have kind of a hack, I guess, to create or to edit the shapes that we're using. So I'm going to call this nose, but I only want half of the circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rectangle. So select rectangle, and I'm just going to cover over the part that I don't want. And I'm going to change the color to be that original gray that we were using. So now you can see that the rectangle that I created blends in with the rest of the head, and I'm left with just half of the nose shape that I want. Okay, and that's creating that desired effect that I want, just the half circle. And I'm going to do the same with the mouth. So I'm going to call this nose cover. And I'm going to select a custom shape again, and I'm going to find the circle outline. So it's this one. Okay. And I'm going to make this black. Position it in the middle there. Okay, but again, I only want half of this circle. So I'm going to make another rectangle, and I'm going to cover over the bottom half, which is the part that I don't want. And I'm going to make this the dark gray. So you can see that's not the right gray color. I want it to be the color of the snout. Now I might need to play around with the positioning a little bit to get the desired effect. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to add a line to connect the nose with the mouth. Now I still think the eyes aren't quite right, so I might make them a little bit bigger. Okay, and my dog is really taking shape. So the final detail is just going to be adding some freckles to his snout. And I'm going to do that by creating these little circles. I'm going to hold shift. And I'm just going to make them 2 by 2, so they're really small, but make sure that they're black and that they're positioned on top of the snout so that they're seen. Okay, and I'm going to create a number of these. So I can move it. Oops. Sometimes it's hard to move things when they're so small. There we go. So it might actually be easier if you want to just create another one. Hold shift and just make sure it's 2 by 2. There we go. And there we go. Final details. I'm going to zoom out and you can decide if you're happy. Now, because all of your layers are named, it will be really easy for you to go back and change anything that you think needs to be adjusted. Just make sure that you've selected the layer that you want to edit before you try to edit it. Because if you select, so say I want to edit the eye, but I've selected the body, right? I can keep clicking on the eye, but it's not going to move the way the way that I want it to because I'm selected on the body right now. Now, if you accidentally move the body and you don't mean to, okay, so if I do that and I've moved the body now so it's out of place, I'm just going to go to the edit button and click step backwards, and it will reposition position the body where I want it to be. Except you can see that I've somehow moved the body now so it's on top of the head, which I don't want. Okay, well, so when you're happy with the positioning of all of your shapes, the next thing that you need to do is to save your design. So we're going to click on File. I would recommend that you save as a PSD because this will allow you to go back and edit your design later if you want to by uploading the file into Photopea or into Photoshop if you're using a desktop computer. But in order to turn in, so when you're finished completely editing your design and you're ready to turn it into me, you're going to click Export As and select PNG. And then it will show you this screen and you click Save. You can name your design and click Save again. This will save the design onto your device and then you can upload it to your Google Drive and upload it to the Google Classroom. Thank you for watching. Happy making.